Hey guys, it's Marcus from Loon Mountain Ministry, and I'd like to welcome you to our new video blog. We're calling it the Mtn Minute, and it's all to stay in touch with you. We host thousands of people here in the mountains, and we want to tell you stories, share updates, talk about ideas, all about the mountain. So sit back, relax, you're on mountain time. Enjoy the Mtn Minute. If you've ever been walking in the New England woods, I'm sure you've come across these stone walls. Well, they're some of my favorite to walk alongside. Well, I've brought you to the woods of Maine. This is where I grew up. This is my grandparents' farm. My grandfather actually settled here in 1947 after coming home from World War II, and he began to farm this land where he met my grandmother. And these stone walls in New England were made over 200 years ago by settlers who came here to have little farms. Now, an average farm back then was only 10 to 15 acres, but it would take someone 4 to 5 years to clear the land, these thick woods, and then also to rid these grounds of these rocks and make these stone walls. What an incredible amount of work, the backbreaking, the sweat, to create farmland out of these woods and all of these rocks. I can only imagine how incredible that feeling must have been for the farmer after working 4 to 5 years to turn woods into fields. And as that farmer worked on those last stones to complete the wall, and as that farmer stood back and looked over the field that he had just made with his hard work, that just must have been an incredible feeling. There's actually a word in the Bible for that feeling a farmer must have had while walking through their cleared fields and looking over their completed farmland. It's a word that some of us know, but didn't know maybe it had to do with a completed stone wall, and that's the word Shalom. Most of us know it as a Hebrew greeting, which means peace, and it does mean peace, but it's much deeper of a peace. It describes that feeling a farmer must have had when putting that last stone on a completed stone wall. Well, maybe you haven't thought about peace in that way before. See, if you're like me, a lot of us think about peace as something that we want to happen to us versus something that we have to work for. And the Bible actually talks about this. Paul says in the book of Romans that as long as it depends upon me and as long as it depends upon you, we must work for the peace. Work for peace. See, just like clearing these fields and clearing these woods to make farmland is a lot of work, making peace, sustaining peace, creating peace in our own lives is much like farming in New England. And if you think about it, in New England, we still grow rocks. We still have rocks that come up. The work of a farmer is never done. If you've hung around a farmer, they work all the time. In our own lives, it's like that, right? Our fields in our lives tend to grow rocks. We have negative situations. We have frustrating relationships. We have bad news given to us by whether it's on the media or maybe it's a doctor or maybe it's someone else that gives us bad news. These things happen. And we keep hoping that peace will happen to us versus taking the responsibility and saying, where do I need to ask for forgiveness? Where do I need to give forgiveness? Where do I need to receive grace from somebody else? And where do I need to give grace? See, this is all part of clearing the fields of rocks and making stone walls. And you know what? The Bible says, when Jesus said in Matthew chapter 5 on the Sermon on the Mount, he said when we work for that kind of peace, we actually look like our Father. If you're like me, and maintaining and creating peace is difficult, I want to offer you hope from the Bible. See, there was someone who did the work of the greatest peace possible. Jesus gave his life on the cross for you and for me to give us peace that we cannot get on our own. See, on the cross, after Jesus gave his life, right before he died, he said these words, "It is finished." That is the greatest shalom ever, the greatest completion, the greatest wholeness of peace for you and for me. See, Jesus did the work that you and I can't do. This doesn't mean that you and I don't continue to work to create and maintain peace. Those that put a faith, hope, and love in Jesus Christ, the Bible says that the Spirit of God comes in us and it helps us do this work. This work that Paul says keep doing as long as it relies upon you and me. And this work that Jesus says in chapter 5 in Matthew that says it makes us look like our Father. I hope that as you walk through the woods of New England and you see these stone walls, that yes, you would remember the hard work of the farmers over 200 years ago. But I also hope that it reminds you of Jesus and the work that He did over 2,000 years ago on the cross to conquer sin and death and offer you and me and all of humanity that would put their faith, hope, and trust in Jesus a completeness, a wholeness that is true Shalom. Hey, thanks for watching the Mtn Minute video blog. We're so glad that you joined us. If you'd like to stay in touch with us, check out our website. Send us an email, shoot us a text, or better yet, come visit us in the mountains. We'll see you next time.